Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. It's Jo here. I hope you're all well and had a wonderful weekend. If you're new here, I'm Jo. I do craft videos. I do 3 a week, Monday, Wednesdays and Fridays. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you leave a comment, I will reply. And if you've not subscribed and you want to see more from me, then it'd be wonderful if you joined our family and friends. And if you're returning, as always, I'm sure you're sick of hearing it by now, but I'm so thankful for you taking the time to come back to my channel and watch my videos and spend some time with me today. And yeah, thank you for your continued support. So for today's project, I made these little pine core houses and they're really sweet and cute. The picture's not doing them any justice, but yeah, I'm really happy with how they turned out. And these are for my fairy garden, and I put my little birdhouse in the center, which I made a couple of videos back. So yeah, let's get into it. So the first thing I'm using is some of the miniature preserve jars. These are from Poundland. You get a pack of 3 for £1. I'm only going to be using 2 out of the box. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to trace around a saucer. I just use this for painting. And I'm going to draw 2 circles on some A4 card and cut them out. And I'm just going to let you know, I am going to keep this box. I'm going to do a project in the future, probably around about Christmas with this box. So I always keep everything that I can use. It's just another thing that I can stick in my craft stash. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make the roofs for my little houses. And I'm just going to cut about a quarter or just over a quarter of the circle out. And then I'm going to bend it into a cone shape and glue it together using some hot glue. So it fits on the top like so. So now that I've done one for each of the jars, I'm just going to pop some glue around the top of the jar lid. And then I'm just going to press on the cone. Until it's stuck. So now that they're both glued, I just painted them with some brown acrylic paint, again from Poundland. It was in a set. And then now I'm using some pine cones. This was a set of pine cones that was sent to me by one of my lovely viewers and subscribers. And I'm so glad that I finally get to use them. So I'm using a pack. There was 9 in a pack, and I used all 9 to make my little houses. And what I'm doing is I'm just pulling the bits of pine cone off. Some are easier than others, and I'm just going to pull them off until I've got quite a few. And then this is what we're going to use for the roof. So now I'm going to glue our pieces to the roof. I'm going to start at the front in the bottom of the cone, and I'm using some tweezers just so I don't burn my fingers. And I'm just going to start to glue these, working my way around the bottom of the cone, making sure that they're next to each other. It doesn't matter about them being too neat, but I'm just going to try and cover as much of the cardboard as I possibly can. So I'm going to continue to do this all the way around the bottom, and then I'll be back. So I've done the first layer, and now I'm going to continue to work my way up. Again, I'm just using a little bit of hot glue and the tweezers, and now I'm going to start to overlap these over the ones that we've already put in place, like so. And then I'm just going to continue to work my way around till I get about just over halfway or 3/4 of the way up, and then I'll be back. I'm going to do the same on both of the lids, like so. And now I'm going to make the chimney. So I'm using the wooden stirrers. These are from Asda. You get 150 for £1.25, and they're in the craft section. They're in the party section where the gift wrap is and the napkins. And I've just measured how high I want my chimney to be, and I'm going to do it 3 centimeters. So I'm going to measure 16 strips at 3 centimeters of the stirrers, and I'm going to cut them using a pair of scissors. We're going to need 8 for each roof. So now that I've got my 16 strips, we're going to glue these together in sets of 2. So I'm just going to put 2 next to each other. And then I'm going to take a smaller section of stirrer, and I'm just going to glue that across the back of both of the pieces we've put down together. And this is just to join them together so that we can create our chimney. So I'm going to do that until I've got 8 of them, 4 for each house. And I'm going to make sure that I've got quite a lot of gap at one end and it's closer to the other end, because we're going to be cutting these 2 sides. So now that I've got all 4, I'm going to just speed up the video so it doesn't take so long, but I'm just going to cut an angle across the bottom of one of these sections, like so. And this is so that it just sits nice and neatly and straight on the cone. And then I'm going to take another section and I'm going to cut another angle, but I'm going to do it opposite of the one that we've just done. So we've got a side, we've got the 2 sides. Like so. And now I'm going to glue them to one of the other pieces. And then I'm going to glue the other one with the angle to the other side. Like so. And then with the last piece, I'm going to glue it to the back. But I want to make sure that I glue it so that it overhangs at the top and not the bottom. Like so. And now I'm just going to cut off the excess. And that's the first one done. So I'm going to do the same to the other one, and then I'm going to paint them in a light purple because that's the colour of the houses that I'm going to do. So I'm just going to do it to match. And now I can glue these into place now that they're dry. So just decide whereabouts you want it to be. And then just with a little bit of hot glue, I'm going to pop that in place. And it looks like this. So now I'm going to continue to finish the roofs off with the pine cones, and I'll be back when that's done. So here are the roofs completed with the chimney, and now we can start to work on the actual base, the glass jars. So I'm just going to take the roofs off, and I'm going to use some masking tape to mark out where I want my doors to be and my windows. Now the only reason I'm putting the masking tape on for the door is so I can position the windows. We're not going to see the glass underneath the door, but I just thought it'd be easier than trying to measure it out. So I've just cut a doorway on the masking tape and 2 windows. The windows are 3 centimeters square, and I've done 2 windows on each house. And now we can paint them. So I'm going to use a mixture of a dark blue and a light pink until I get a purple that I want, and then add some white to lighten it. I'm going to do a couple of coats. I ended up doing 3 or 4 in the end, I think, and yeah, let them dry in between each coat. Just make sure that masking tape is nice and stuck down to the glass. And here we are. So now that it's all nice and dry, I'm going to start to take the masking tape off, and I just made sure that I did this really slowly and pulled it towards the centre of the section that we used to mark out the masking tape, so that I didn't pull the paint off and rip it. Just because it is acrylic paint, it does come off quite easily if you scratch it or if you pull at it. So I've just took my time, and I'm just going to use my nail or the end of the tweezers to just neaten up the edges. And then I'm going to continue to take off the door and the other window as well. So now the masking tape's off this one, I've put the roof back on, and I'm going to do the same to the other. So now we're going to work on the door. I'm going to use the wooden stirrers that we used for the chimney, and what I'm going to do is I'm not going to measure them. I'm just going to use a rough guide, make sure that they are larger than the section that we didn't paint. So I'm just using one as a reference. So I'm going to glue some of these together. I think I did 6 across. Yeah, I did 6 across. I'm just going to mark them so that they're the same length. And then I'm going to use 2 sticks horizontally across the back to glue them together. And then I'm going to flip that over and continue to add some of these stirrers until I've got 6 across. So I'm just going to trim off the ends, the excess that we don't need. And now using the house as a guide, I'm just going to hold it so that it covers the space. And then cut the height to the height that I want. And then now I'm going to cut a curved doorway. So I'm just going to use the scissors and work my way around until I'm happy with the shape. And then I'm going to do exactly the same with the other house. I actually used the first one as a template and then drew around it once I'd glued the other sticks together and then cut them both out. So here they are unpainted. I'm now going to use some dark brown acrylic paint to paint them. I think I did 2 coats. So what I'm going to do now, I didn't have any small beads. So what I did was I used a pair of earrings. They're just little gold coloured studs that I had that I've never worn. They were in a set with some others that I bought. And I'm just going to use these as the doorknobs on the doors. So I'm just using the wire cutters to cut off the metal section at the back. And then I'm just going to glue these in place, one on each door. And now I'm going to do the windows. So I'm just measured, they are 3 centimeters by 3 centimeters. So we need to do 4 windows. I'm just going to draw out a 3 centimeter square on some A4 card. And now I'm going to draw a 1/2 centimeter frame around the square that we've just drew. And then in the center, I'm going to draw a 1/2 centimeter cross. And then I'm going to cut out the 4 squares using a craft knife. And these are our 4 windows. So now I'm going to paint these in the same paint that I did the doors. I did 2 coats. And I'm going to let them dry. So the windows are drying, but I'm going to glue the doors in place. And I put the doors in place first before I did the windows so I could make sure that they were the same height. And all I'm going to do is use a bit of hot glue on the glass and then place the door where I want it to be. And then while the windows are still drying, I'm going to use some moss that I got from Wish. I paid £2 for a small bag of it, and I've got some left over from other crafts. And I'm just going to add some to the top of the chimney and around some of the roofing tiles. I'm just going to take small sections and use a little bit of hot glue to glue them in place. And then the last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to glue in the windows, and then I'm going to add a little bit more greenery around the roof, and they will be finished. And the good thing about painting with acrylic paints on the glass is that if there is a little bit showing over the squares, you can just use something sharp like some tweezers or a craft knife and just scrape off the excess paint. But here they are. I hope you like them. I'm really happy with how they turned out. They're super cute. I am probably going to add some more greenery at some point, and I'm going to do some decoration around the bottom once I do all the garden for it. But for now, these are as they're going to be. And yeah, I've just put my little birdhouse in the centre, which I made a few weeks back. And yeah, I'm really happy with how they turned out. I'm so happy that I actually tried this, and I love the tiles on the roof, and it's given me an idea for something else that I want to do. So yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. I will see you on Wednesday for the next one. Take care for now. Love you loads. Bye for now.